Please don't share any personal identifiable information, as these sessions are not confidential. And we want to ask you to please keep your cameras off and your microphones muted. It helps with bandwidth and also, background noise that's distracting. And if you have questions, Natalie is going to be monitoring the chat, so feel free to write your questions there and raise a hand, and she and Gabe will decide how they're going to do it. I think they're going to definitely have a Q&A at the end, right? And then they may take a question or two in the middle of the presentation. I don't know if they think it's a good idea. All right, so Gabe, take it away.
Welcome, everybody. This is going to be a PowerPoint presentation of the Vet Center, part of the Department of Veterans Affairs. And we're going to actually go and show an overview of what the Vet Centers are all about. As you can see, the introduction page has Craig Hall, who is the outreach specialist for the VOPS, which stand for Veteran Outreach Persons, and he is located in the Hartford Vet Center. He is also the MVC driver, the Mobile Vet Center driver. That's that big white vehicle that you see up in Rocky Hill every year, except this year. And they're located on 25 Elm Street in Rocky Hill, Connecticut. And you could see the number. It's 860-563-8800. There is 4 vet centers in the state of Connecticut. One is in Danbury. The other is the New Haven Vet Center in Orange. We have the Norwich Vet Center, and of course the Hartford Vet Center that we're talking about now. And here's the addresses and the phone numbers. So please feel free to call the one that's closest to you, and we would be able to help you in any possible way that we can. So with our next, we're going to talk a little bit about the Vet Center history. It was actually established in Congress in 1979, and it was originally for the Vietnam era vets. Many of the Vietnam vets that were returning home needed some extra kind of security, and so they came up with an outreach storefront concept so that Vietnam vets could just walk in and actually ask for help. Of course, we would refer them to the VA, and we worked with the VA on it, but it gave a little bit of an extra edge for the Vietnam vets to give a little bit of a trust, and to not have the hospital environment. So the service was reviewed after the Vietnam era vets were established, and we were helping them, and it was extended to all war zone vets, and also sexual harassment, assault victims of any era. And you simply had to be just in the service to be able to get services for sexual harassment or assault victims. So the goal was to provide a broad range of counseling. We also did outreach. We did referral services, of course, working with the VA and the Herrera Center. And we helped veterans to make a transition that was satisfying back into the civilian world. Next. So readjustment counseling services consist of individual counseling, group counseling, marital and family counseling of the veteran, bereavement counseling, medical referrals, referrals for assistance in applying for VA benefits, employee counseling, guidance and referral, alcohol and drug assessments and referral, and also sexual trauma counseling and referral. Our main objective is readjustment counseling services, and usually we can offer this without any medication, which is very it's very well known, and a lot of the veterans like knowing that they don't have to take medication in order to get readjustment counseling. Next. So basically, this is showing what relationships are actually connected to, and this could be all of these things: discipline, the cleaning, the cooking, the house maintenance. And of course, when veterans come back from war, relationships, or deployment, I should say, relationships the relationship can be affected by all of these. Only from the standpoint when a veteran is sent to war, he's sent as being normal to an abnormal environment. Unfortunately, when he leaves the war zone, he comes back, he's been normalized by the war zone. So now it's abnormal for him to get back into relationships and into other situations within the family and friends. Next. You have it, Natalie? Oh, there it is. Thanks. And these are just basic pictures of Baghdad, Kandahar, Fallujah. Next. And like it says, home never looks the same when you're in a different country. Next. And it doesn't sound the same. Next. Or even smell the same. Next. In a time of war, many images may remain with us. Next. Next. As you could see, some pictures here of Iraq. Next. Then we finally come home from an environment that is abnormal but normal to us. Next. Home does look different as compared to the photos before. Next. And face the challenge of transition and readjustment to a different way of living and in a different environment. Next. It's a stressful situation, and stress is normal. Next. Next. So the mental and physical changes that are very known well is military adaptation to civilian readjustment. You have military adaptation from job equaling life and death, to job paying the bills and civilian readjustment. Increased vigilance is in the military, and coming back to the civilian world, we need to relearn how to relax. Also, increased self-confidence is also a military adaptation. And in the civilian readjustment field, it is less of a significant mission as opposed to when you are deployed. Military adaptation from increased aggressiveness, usually from the stress of the possibility of hostiles. And in the civilian readjustment, we have to decrease this aggressiveness. Next. So mental and physical changes. We have family interruptions, and we have civilian readjustment. So with family interpretations, we want every second. And why are you so anxious? You feel like you're not important enough. We aren't your soldiers. Why won't you touch me? This is many times military soldiers that come home or come home from a war zone have to deal with these issues, and the family has to also deal with these issues. In the civilian readjustment part, of course, the returning veteran has to make sure he has a job in order to pay the bills. He needs to relearn how to relax. He needs to accept that it is now a less significant mission. And of course, he needs to decrease his aggressiveness. Next. So the support system is also very big in change. With the military adaptation, it's the leaders that provide the direction. There's a more tighter buddy support system in the military. And of course, everyone is at war. Each support comes from another soldier. In the civilian readjustment part, they have to learn self-determination. They have to have separation from battle buddies, and also deal with people that lack war knowledge. Next. So family interpretation, why can't you make up your mind yourself? We should be more important than buddies. Maybe we hate the war. And that's more from the side of the family. So in the civilian readjustment part of it, self-determination is taught and put into readjustment. So the military veteran can make up his mind for himself. Separation from his battle buddies. He needs to learn that he is more important to his family than he's important to his buddies. And people that lack war knowledge needs to be understood by the veteran, because it is a different world. Next. So being tough versus feeling. Again, military adaptation to civilian readjustment. Military, you cannot afford to think about danger or loved ones back home. There's no chance to grieve, and you ignore the horrors of war. In civilian readjustment, most have to be retaught to remember the dangers, to help with the family integration, to deal with the intrusive questions, to watch the different views on different news channels like CNN and Fox, and also to grieve for fallen comrades, which usually comes back to the veteran once they are off deployment. Next. So the family interpretation of being tough versus feeling. The family is, we are worried about you every hour. You could have died out there. Why don't you like our welcome home party? And tell us every detail. And the civilian readjustment, they remember the dangers that they don't really want to share with their loved ones. Family reintegration is relearned. Intrusive questions are understood better. There's a better explanation of CNN and Fox News. And understand also how to grieve for fallen comrades, and that it is not their fault. Next. So aids to recovery and readjustment. Family strengths that can help are the stability of family prior to deployment, a sense of shared commitment to the military and the family, a good family crisis planning, having previous experience with deployments, gradual reintegration to work and family rather than an immediate and lengthy leave followed by high pressure work duties needs to be avoided. In other words, not to shock the returning veteran to the environment. Next. So military stressors that are most common is the threat to life, which is your combat and hazardous duties, moral injuries, losses of casualties in relationships while in the military and being deployed. Number and length of deployments also contribute very heavily to actually dealing with reintegration. Physical and the emotional adjustment to military lifestyle is now turned around. It's no longer being used, but you did have to adjust to that lifestyle, even if it was for a short period of time. And another stressor that's really, really hard to determine sometimes is military sexual trauma. Next. So military sexual trauma, better known as MST, is any offensive sexual behavior or sexual harassment. And by meaning sexual harassment, even verbally. Unwanted sexual attention, sexual coercion, unwanted sexual advances or contact while being deployed in the military. Next. So post-military readjustment stressors that may come up are, of course, PTSD symptoms, post-traumatic stress disorder, TBI, traumatic brain injury, and other physical or emotional injuries. The social detachment, the lack of purpose, the missing camaraderie, turning to substance abuse by self-medicating and using this to best deal with PTSD symptoms, possibly TBI, social detachment, and lack of purpose. Financial stressors and unemployment also heavily weigh on this. Family relationship stressors and legal considerations. Next. So post-traumatic stress is a normal set of reactions to a trauma such as war or sexual trauma, which could be experienced by almost anyone. Sometimes it can become a problem with the passage of time when the feelings or issues related to the trauma are not dealt with. This is very well known as suppressing the problem or the stressor. This can result in problems to the readjusting to a community life following the trauma. A delayed stress reaction may surface after many years. Next. With post-traumatic stress, 7 or 8% of people will have PTSD at some point in their lives based on US population. So it's not just the military that can also get PTSD, but civilians also. Estimates of the of PTSD from the Gulf War were as high as 12%. Estimates from the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan are between 11 and 20%. And 23% of women reported sexual assaults when in the military. Yet over half of the veterans with MST are men. Next. There are red flags that can and must be noticed. Talk of suicide or killing someone else. Symptoms presently interfere with normal duties and or daily living and can continue for more than 6 to 8 weeks. Veterans who have lost their jobs at home, especially reservists and Army National Guard. Veterans leaving the service by either retirement or active duty through ETS. Relationship problems, drug or alcohol problems, showing bizarre or unusual behavior. Veterans in trouble either by Article 15 or USMJ, which is the military justice. Veterans with financial problems. All of these can lead to a red flag coming up and the veteran talking of suicide or killing someone else. Next. Clinical interventions that are commonly used are individual treatment, one-on-one with the veteran, group treatments, different activities as a group, yoga, anger management that is war zone specific, and writing workshops to help with treatment. Community involvement with volunteer opportunities can also help the veteran to reconnect to the community. Next. So, what are the barriers to seeking help? Military culture always creates and perpetuates external and internalized stigma, core beliefs against help seeking. If you have the right stuff, and the mental toughness, you don't need help or assistance to manage the demands of military life or the horrors of war. Needing help or asking for help is a sign of personal, moral weakness. Seeking help will signal a lapse in competence and job performance, fear, mistrust, concerns about confidentiality, and trust. Next. So the top 10 reasons for veterans to go to the vet center is to meet and socialize with other veterans who are also from combat zones. We are located in the community, not in a hospital. We have over 40 years of experience helping war zone veterans and families readjust to post-deployment. Majority of the staff are veterans. All staff speak military. We take the time to establish a rapport and meet the veteran where they are in their readjustment stage. We can help with all readjustment issues, and we can help negotiate the VA and state veterans system. Next. So Connecticut veteran resources that are available are, of course, the VA medical centers, which are in West Haven and Newington, and the CBOCs, which are your community-based outpatient clinics. They are located in Danbury, Waterbury, New London, Stamford, Willimantic, and Winsted. Vet centers are located in Hartford, Danbury, New Haven, and Norwich. Other Connecticut veteran resources is the State Veterans Home in Rocky Hill, the Connecticut Military Support Program, Military One Source, the VA Jail Diversion Program, the Soldiers, Sailors, and Marines Fund, and CRT, which is the Connecticut Renewal Team. Veterans Crisis Line is 1-800-273-8255, and you could press 1 to get help. The Veterans Crisis Line connects veterans in crisis and their families and friends with qualified, caring Department of Veterans Affairs responders through a confidential toll-free hotline, online chat, or text. Veterans and their loved ones can call 1-800-273-8255 and press 1. Or send a text message to 838-255 to receive confidential 24-hour support 7 days a week, 365 days a year. And there is support for deaf and hard of hearing individuals. One thing to remember is the VA Connecticut Suicide Prevention Coordinator is able to provide free trainings at community agencies on suicide prevention for veterans as needed. Web resources that are available. Thank you. And thank you for your service.
unmute myself. Thanks, Gabe. Oh,
You're
great.
welcome.
Does anybody have any questions? We can use the last 10 minutes that we have, I believe, for questions. If anybody would like to ask any, you can go ahead and unmute yourself and ask, or you can type it in the chat. I think there's someone asking, but they're muted. So you guys are muted, so if you need to ask a question, go ahead and unmute yourself. Or type it in the chat too, and then I can read it out to everybody. Can you flip back to web resources? Yes, I can. Let me flip back, and I'll leave that there. All right, another question is, did Gabe mention if spouses could get counseling through the center? Yeah, we could talk about that. So we do spouse counseling, so it would be going to counseling together. We don't provide counseling for just the spouse by themselves. It's a veteran and spouse thing. But we also do bereavement counseling as well. So if a spouse did lose somebody on active duty, we do provide counseling for that as well. Gabe, if there's anything you want to add to that.
No, I'm pretty well set. It's just any questions that come up, please call one of the vet centers or contact us. Just remember that the question you ask is the one that you wish you asked when you had a chance. So always ask that question if you can.
And also, I'm going to go ahead and put the vet center website on the chat. So we did talk a lot about Connecticut vet centers, and that's because we're here in Connecticut. But there are, the vet center is a nationwide program. So there's about 300 nationwide. So if you know of any veterans that may need counseling in other cities or states, this is definitely something that you can pass along to them. We all still have our battle buddies, and we all still kind of know veterans and still talk to our people that we served with. So if you think they might need help, feel free to pass this information along to them. The website is really nice. It has a section where you can just put in your zip code or your city, and it'll tell you the closest vet center. So that number is, or that website is www.vetcenter.va.gov. Does anybody else have any questions?
Hi, Natalie and Gabe. This is Leslie. I don't have a specific question. I just definitely want to give a shout out to all the work that you do. I personally do go to a vet center, and I actually go to one out of state because of a conflict of interest. And I must say that you guys are amazing as to the programs that you provide and ongoing support to our veterans in our community. And it's definitely a place that was created 40 years ago that is still today very safe to go to as a combat veteran. So a huge shout out to you guys, to say the least. So thank you for all you do. For any fellow veterans that are on the line and you have not stepped into a vet center, I encourage you that it is a safe place to go to, that you're going to be received with open arms, and you're going to find a home. Believe you me, I certainly have.
You'll definitely find a place, and every vet center is different. Every vet center has different, I mean, the overall counseling is the same, but there's different groups. Every vet center has different groups and a different layout. I would say if you are just curious, you can always come in. Currently, right now, we are seeing people online and over the phone for safety reasons. But you can always give us a call. There is someone here. Most vet centers are open from 8:30 to 4 or 8 to 5. You can go online and check Mondays through Fridays. So you can always give us a call and make an appointment with a counselor, and see what's out there, what we can provide for you. And also, if you have any questions about VA resources or community resources, that's the one great thing about the vet center is that we are, like Gabe mentioned earlier, we're community based. So that means we're not in a VA hospital. That means we're in the middle, like Norwich is here right in the middle of Norwich. So that means we get to meet a lot of like community partners. So we know a lot about what's going on in our area. So if you even have any questions that may not be necessarily counseling wise, you can give us a call and we can put you in the right direction, because really that's the one thing we're here for, is to serve vets and their families. So we're never gonna like turn you away, and no question is ever out of the box. Like we have tons of people call and ask us all kinds of questions. So you can always give us a call. So once someone called me and they asked what flowers we had planted in our plant potter. So I had to run outside and check them. So any question, please give us a call.
I also wanted to mention one thing. We are now doing telehealth video assist for those veterans that are older, or those veterans that do not understand how to work a computer or how to work an iPad or use their phone. Please contact the Vet Center. We are doing that in order to help our veterans better connect to our counselors and get the help they need.
I just wanted to give a shout out as a veteran. I've been going to one of the vet centers for quite a few years now, and I gotta say, Kenny, it's been great. And it's nice to know that you're also helping the older veterans as far as connecting with a computer or a pad or what have you. I know in some of my groups and sessions and stuff, a lot of the guys are very leery, women too, of the computers. And so it's nice to know that you're doing that, and thank you.
And I think your dog agrees with you.
Yeah. Yeah, she's mouthy. She speaks up what she's not supposed to.
That's okay. Yeah. This is very new. But with all that's happening, we have been, for people's safety, we're moving towards electronic and phones, and sometimes that could be hard. I still get it's still hard for me. It's hard for a lot of people, and it can get frustrating. But like Gabe said, we are trying to adapt, and we're also helping individuals if they have questions on how to run those web applications or get on their appointments. We'll be able to help out with that as well. So people, if people are confused or kind of upset, we can help them out and hopefully make things easier.
We can also actually offer some tablets to some of the vet center clients if they actually become our clients. We've been handing them out and helping the veterans actually learn how to use these iPads.
Yeah, I believe that's like a nonprofit that's helping us out with that.
Yes.
And that's what we say too, is that even if you don't have questions about counseling, we do know a lot of groups and a lot of organizations. There in Connecticut, there really are a lot of groups that help veterans. The thing that we have to do is just get the word out. So if really, that's all I tell people. If they have a question about something, give us a call. We'll figure out an answer. Or if they have questions about resources, or if they need a resource, please give us a call as well. And we may not have the answer, but we know the people who would have the answer, and we can get that out for you.
And we have a lot of activities for veterans. Natalie has a book club and a guitar club, and she does an outstanding job to get the veterans all together into groups and to feel better about themselves. So please call. We're always doing something. We have a photography group here in Orange. Of course, it's not on now, but we're thinking about other innovative ways to get veterans together so they can be involved with these types of groups.
Yeah. Yeah, can't stress enough how important counseling is. So if you've been on the fence about it and you're thinking about it, you can also give us a call and talk to us about that, about your worries or your, what's holding you back. Give us a call and we can talk to you about that too. Counseling really does help. I use counseling. I'm sure other people out there use counseling, and it really does help to talk to somebody that knows what you've gone through, because a lot of our counselors are veterans, but also for me, it was talking to somebody that was a complete stranger, because I don't want my family to worry about me. That's why I was like, I'm not going to tell them anything. They're not going to get it. I don't want them to worry, this, that, and the other. But when I talk to a counselor, it's like, they don't know me. I could just tell them everything and be completely honest. They're not going to judge who are, and they kind of also know what you're going through. So, yeah, if you ever need counseling, just give us a call. Oh, the groups are also, yes, groups are very helpful for combat isolation. That is very correct. And we do have a lot of groups, and like Gabe mentioned earlier, some are activity-based, like walking groups, or like he said, a photo group, or we have guitar, and some are like combat-related, like deployment based, like a Vietnam vet group, OIF, OEF group. So they range different. We have meditative groups and mindfulness groups. So there's a ton out there. The first thing we ask is that you meet with a counselor, and then you can speak to them about a group, and then you work with your counselor. So, but yeah, groups they do help a lot for isolation.
I hate to be the one to tell you to wrap it up, but I'm afraid I must.
Okay.
It's okay. Thank you, everybody, so much for joining us.
Thank you.
We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Please give us a call if you need anything. We're here for you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks. I'm stopping the recording now.
Thank you, vet centers. You guys
Thank
are awesome.